Welcome everybody inside of the Rogers studio for the final segment of this year for North Stars Noise. I'm your host Matt Sanderson, and the season came to an unfortunate end for the Owen Sound Senior B Liuna 1059 North Stars as they fell to the Six Nations Rivermen in 5 games. And this series turned out pretty interesting overall. If you look at the first 2 games with Owen Sound winning those 2 and then going on to lose games 3 and 4 and then losing game 5 ultimately in the long run. We're going to show you the series or games 2 and 4 of this series and how these 2 games played out. I gotta say, these 2 games, especially at the Bayshore, even though one was a win and one was a loss, they were 2 of the greatest games that I have seen in Owen Sound North Stars history since covering this team.
Forcing the ball.
Well, not only that, but now you look, Six Nations has a chance to set up their offense with only 10 seconds left the shot clock. We have an early goal that Riley Johnson scores on transition, and that
Should be.
and Dan Keane scores with the extra attacker. So Owen Sound on the penalty kill. Saunders with the backhand. And there's a goal. Matt McLeod with a sneaker. And they tie it up with 40 seconds to go. Dan Keane will run the power play from the top. Matt McLeod scores on the power play.
You can't do that against the Rivermen.
And Zach Thompson scores.
McLeod turned that one over.
Yeah, those over-the-shoulder passes like that, they're good, but usually they'll cause you problems.
Scores! Cross in general.
That's the way to do it.
What a great effort in front. 4-1. Greer with the chance. He scores! Now McLeod steps one way, back to Saunders, to McLeod. Saunders again. Great move and they score! Riley Thompson! Pat Saunders with him. Saunders shoots, fire, score! Pat Saunders! And that's a good effort in front. They score! Oh, it's Sound! Going over top. Tom Montour gets it and they score! 54 seconds. The Six Nations Rivermen have battled back.
I do have to say, I think I lost my voice the next day afterwards after calling that Game 4 at the Bayshore. It was certainly an exciting one. An unfortunate end with Owen Sound losing and then having to force that Game 5 with a victory there. If they had come back and won it, they would have been advancing to the President's Cup final. But you look at the way that Owen Sound started out this season and the struggles that they had, and for them to be able to go into Six Nations in the first game of this series and win was a big thing for this Owen Sound North Stars team, especially since they did not play overly that well against Six Nations or even Oakville that was ahead of them throughout this season. If you look at it, the first game, Game 1, they beat them 11-9 in overtime, and then it was another 8-6 victory for Owen Sound in OT, and then Six Nations won 9-6, 8-7, and then 12-7 was the final. That Game 5 was the biggest gap between these two teams with win-loss ratio. And like I said, for Owen Sound, they're going to try to regroup this offseason and get back at it again next season for the quest for the President's Cup trophy. But we're going to go on to playoff scoring throughout this playoff series. And if you look across the league, Brooklyn Merchants, Connor Kiernan, he ends up coming away with 27 points. Oakville's Cree Blakely, he still has a chance of jumping up into first place as Oakville taking on Six Nations. And you see 2 Rivermen players right behind him. Then there's Matt Lee from Oakville. And Owen Sound has Patrick Saunders and Riley Thompson there with 16 and 15 points. And Patrick Saunders, his first year here with Owen Sound, and he came through in the absolute clutch. Let's take a look at Owen Sound playoff scoring now. And Patrick Saunders, Riley Thompson, as I mentioned, leading the way there. Dan Keane and Matt McLeod both tied with 14 points. But then it drops off after that. The next closest were Zach Thompson and Colin Maudsley, both tied with 8 points. Jeff Ivey had 7 in there. Lachlan Elder in there. And then Todd Greer and Travis Sabolitz, both with 2 points throughout this playoff. And now we're going to go and flip over to the series and how it broke down for the Brooklyn Merchants and the Oakville Titans. This was an interesting one too, as Brooklyn won the first game 12-5 over Oakland, beating Oakville, beating them quite handily, and then Oakville turns the tables and comes back. But then Brooklyn says, no, we're not going away so easily. 14-12 victory in Game 3, and then Oakville just sealed the deal in those final 2 games to move on to the final. And now let's take a look at this series so far, and both of these teams tied out 1 game apiece. Oakville winning that first game 7-4, and then the Six Nations Rivermen pulling out a squeaker 10-9. The next game is Friday, August the 10th in Oakville, and Game 4, Game 5 from there. But like I said, it's been a good lacrosse season for this Owen Sound Senior B Liuna 1059 North Stars team. And they look to get back at it again next season. And the Owen Sound faithful itching to see lacrosse back at the Bayshore again in the summer. Until then, I'm Matt Sanderson, and I want to thank you very much for joining me throughout this North Stars Noise and also throughout this Owen Sound Senior B Liuna 1059 run through the regular season and the playoffs. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next year.